Hello nerds, welcome back to another video. Gabriella here. Today is a good day and it's going to get even better because today I'm doing my most anticipated releases of fall, which is always so exciting. So without further ado, let's just get into it. But first, click that subscribe button, join the nerd gang, okay? We're a great family. And click that little bell icon so you can be notified of every new video. Now, let's just get into it. So for my most anticipated releases of fall, I'm going from September to November. This video is coming out a little bit later than I would like to. I'll be mentioning some books that are technically already out as I'm filming this video. And some will maybe be out by the time it's posted. But I'll include all the books getting released in September, so you'll have a full overview of everything coming out this fall, everything that has come out already this fall. And yeah, let's just get into it with the first book. So the first book I'm excited about for the month of September is called Black Joy. It is actually a short story collection by a bunch of Black authors. It is a pretty much only UK release because it is all UK authors, if I'm not mistaken. I heard about this book because of Farida Abike-Yimide, the author of Ace of Spades, which, as you guys may know, I've only talked about it 15 times. It's one of my favorite books. And so when she posted that she had a short story coming out in this collection, you know, had to go on the Goodreads. I haven't gotten my hands on it. I'm kind of waiting to see if it's going to be available through a US or Canadian store first, to not have to pay those UK prices with those UK shipping prices. But we will see. I might cave by then. The next book is from an author that you will have heard about if you spent any ounce of time on any kind of book social media area. But it is Beautiful World, Where Are You by Sally Rooney. Do I know what it's about? No. Have I read a Sally Rooney before? No. Why is it in your most anticipated? Because it is my goal to read Sally Rooney. I feel like she's kind of like a must-try author because she's so talked about. And I feel like it's so divisive also that I kind of just want to choose a camp. You're either camp love or camp hate. And I just want to choose a side. I don't want to be Switzerland anymore. So yeah, Beautiful World, Where Are You is on my Goodreads. But I'll probably read her books, like her back published books. She has Conversations with Friends and the other one that everyone's read that I can't remember the name right now, but there'll be a picture somewhere on the screen and you know which one I'm talking about. But I'd like to read those first. I don't own any of her books either, but yeah, one day I'll get to it. Next is, I think it's a debut author release, but it's Never Saw Me Coming by Vera Kurian. And it is a story of actually a diagnosed psychopath. I don't think they're called psychopaths anymore, actually. I think they're called antisocial personality disorder, if I'm not mistaken. But anyways, but basically the main character is in this sort of support group for other psychopaths. I'm going to say psychopaths for the purposes of this because that is the term used in the book and in the description. But it's very psychology oriented. I just study psychology in college, so it's very psychology oriented, but it's also a thriller slash horror, I believe. I think it's more thriller or mystery, but basically in this support group of other psychopaths, they start getting killed off. So, you know, it's the main character trying to stay safe while figuring it all out, and I think it's going to be a really interesting story. I've seen quite a few people read it already. Came out September 7th. And yeah, it just seems like a great read. It seems like a lot of fun, and it seems like a very different premise than what we would usually see. Next is The Shoddy Setup by Lily Vale. It is a rom-com. Love to see it. Also, author of color. Characters of color, we're allowed to see it. But from my understanding, the story is, honestly, when it comes to rom-com, just tell me it's a rom-com and I'll just read it. But came out September 7th, and I believe it is a story of this girl. She ends up finding a guy that she really loves and she wants to be with him forever. And then I think it's her family or whatever, are like, hey, try to find a good boy that follows more traditions. And she's like, no, this guy is like perfect. And then she does an online quiz to know if they're perfect, and they don't seem to be perfect because they don't match with each other, but she matches with somebody else. Sounds interesting. Honestly, you had me at rom-com, you had me at people of color. It's gonna be great. I know it. Also from September 7th, we have Lies Like Wildflower, Wildfire, by Jennifer Lynn Alvarez. And this is a story, this is a YA, I believe, and it's a story of 5 friends who are connected to this giant wildfire that started in their area. They live out west, North America, and I believe it's California, or maybe Washington, in, the Pacific. But I think they started a wildfire, and it is those 5 friends kind of hiding the secret and all these things and lying to authorities and blah, blah, blah. And I think it's like a kind of very different premise to the kind of like usual YA murder mystery, Like, I don't know, it feels like it's kind of different, it's a wildfire, it's a different kind of crime that is also like very bad crime. I don't know. I feel like it's gonna be a nice change of pace to the usual teenage murder mysteries. Also, from September 7th, September 7th was a poppin' day. Damn. But it's also the first Tuesday of the month, so it kind of makes sense. If you didn't know, books get released on Tuesdays. I don't know why. Don't ask me why. But it's on Tuesdays, so it makes sense that the first Tuesday of the month is going to be a little bit busier. But it is The Bones of Bruin by Sarah Raleigh. And I don't know too much about the synopsis. I know 3 things about it. It's about an African tightrope dancer in Victorian London, and for a reason or another, she cannot die. I feel like it's self-explanatory why this is on this list. I've been looking forward to it. I just checked. It's been on my Goodreads since February 23rd. I've been looking forward to this book for a while. Why didn't I pre-order it? Probably because I'm an idiot. Anyways, I just move forward. So now moving on to September 14th, we have The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood. This book gained a lot of traction because it was a book of the month pick for the month of September, so you can imagine. It is a rom-com. About a scientist, a female scientist. She's a biology PhD candidate, so got big brains in the story. Also, we never get to see women in STEM like in real life, but also in books. So very refreshing. And it is a story of fake dating of 2 scientists. And it's apparently, I don't know if it was actually based on it or if it's just a hypothesis that people have, or just because of the drawing in the cover, but people are saying that it's a Rilo, so Kylo Ren and Rey from Star Wars, the 3rd trilogy, so like episodes 7, 8, 9. It's a story based on them, and I don't know if that's what the author said or if it's like an overall consensus. And I have to say, seeing the cover, that is definitely done, 100%. Look, I'm not a Rilo fan. That's it. I'm not a Rilo fan, but the story sounds super fun. You know how I love fake dating. I've heard incredible things about it. And again, women in STEM. Yes. The next is Walking in Two Worlds by Wab Kinu, also released on September 14th. I'm just going to write the date down below here from now on because I'm tired. But it is a YA story about this main character, Bugs. She's an Indigenous teen, which we love Indigenous featured. I am sorely lacking in Indigenous stories on this bookshelf, so gotta do some more work on that side. But we also have I forget what they call that day. On September 30th, we have a new holiday here in Canada, which is a federal holiday, a bank holiday now, which will be to remember the loss that has been suffered through residential schools here in Canada, especially with all the discoveries that have been coming out in the past year or so, and that will continue to come out, I'm assuming, in the next few years as people keep digging and digging into residential schools. But that is a book I would love to pick up, like now. But I'm technically on a book buying ban, technically. But I will probably end up picking up this book by the end of September and read it for that occasion. I will also have work off that day, so maybe I'll just do a one sit read and support Indigenous writers. But yes, so Bugs is an Indigenous teen who lives on the residence, and she ends up having a super big, avid life in the gaming world, but in the real world, she's more of a shy, introverted teen, but online, she's like a god, you know? But she's also marginalized as, you know, Indigenous and all that, and she ends up meeting Fang, who is, I believe, Chinese, who moves to the residence to live with his aunt or uncle, who's a doctor on the reservation. And so they have a lot of life in common in the gamer world, but in real life as well. And it's kind of, I think their friendship, I don't think it's a romance. I believe it is a friendship that gets built. In any case, if it's a romance, I won't be mad either. But in any case, very excited. I think it's going to be a nice, refreshing story. The cover is outstanding. I love it. And I love this kind of, I feel like a lot of and that is probably more from me because I don't think I've read enough Indigenous stories, but I feel like most of the Indigenous stories that we were meant to read in school, because I have read some in school, at least, but I've read a few in school, but they were all very like old-timey stories, you know, they were all historical fiction. And I have not really read any stories that take place in the 21st century. So having a YA that takes place in something so universal as like the online world and video games, but having a big lens on the Indigenous youth is like going to be great. I'm very excited for this. So next we have The Lost Girls by Sonia Hartle. Look, I don't know the entire synopsis of this book because I read the blurb and I knew this was the book for me. It is a YA release, but guys, John Tucker Must Die meets vampires that are sapphic. I mean, what? It's like someone went into my brain and was like, what does Gabriella want? What does she want to read? I think she wants to read this. And it is true. I want to read this. I also made my sister watch John Tucker Must Die during the pandemic. Like, I had a big goal when she was off school, like, for literally, like, 4 months during the 2020 for the pandemic. I was like, I'm going to educate you on real film. None of that Gen Z stuff. We're watching John Tucker Must Die. And I made her watch a bunch of those other teen rom-com things and those kinds of things. Oh, gosh. Good times. But, yeah. Very excited. That is just so good. I mean, honestly, I'll sign up for anything sapphic. I'll sign up for quite a bit of vampirism. And I'll sign up for literally anything that says John Tucker Must Die. So, Sonia, what are you doing to me? I'm supposed to be on a book buying ban. I hate y'all. Y'all the worst. I hate y'all. Why am I doing this video while I'm on a book buying ban? This is the worst. I did this last time too. I did this video while I was a book buying ban. And then I wasn't anymore after filming this video. Oh my gosh. Well, we know where my paycheck is going. I think my next paycheck is like right before this. I can't. It's the worst. It's the worst. So next is A Dark and Starless Forest by Sarah Hollowell. It is a YA story, fantasy, and it is basically the story of this girl, Derry, who her siblings start going missing. She lives right next to this very mysterious, very dark, magic-y forest, and she sets off on a quest through the forest to go find her siblings, but while she gets through, she finds out things about herself, her inner darkness, her inner magic. Just sounds so just perfect. I don't know, it sounds like perfect cozy questy fall book, in my opinion. It just sounds great. So next we have a new series beginning with the first book being released this fall by Bridget Kemmerer. And it is Defy the Night. She is the best-selling author of the A Curse So Dark and Lonely series, which is a book that I just acquired recently. And so you probably know her from that. She is very popular New York Times best-selling author. But yeah, she's starting a new series. I think it's called the Defy the Night series, or it's just the first book is called Defy the Night. I don't think the series has a like overall name. Do I know what it is about? No. It is a fantasy. Yes. I believe there's some sort of alchemy, like potions. Are they magic potions? Regular potions? I don't know. But I think it's gonna be outstanding. Love the cover. Woo! Yeah, I think it's gonna be great. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. I hope I acquire this book. Yeah. That's it. I know nothing about this book, but doesn't matter. No. But I also love not knowing anything about the books. Like I love knowing just like little bits and pieces about books, but I kind of love most types of books, so it's kind of like I could read anything at this point. Next is a book that I actually pre-ordered, and it just came in the mail like a day or two ago, and it is Empire of the Vampire by Jade Kristoff. I have the Chapters Indigo exclusive edition, which is actually the exact same as the Barnes & Noble exclusive edition. But yeah, woo, it's a chunker. Do I know what it's about? Yes and no. First of all, it's did I say it's Jade Kristoff? Yes. But it is a story of him, little vampire here. His name is Gabriel. Okay. And he is a vampire. And I know nothing else about it. It is a chunker. It is scary. Everybody's been reading it right now, except for me. There are amazing illustrations throughout the book. But yeah, I know there's going to be vampires. There's going to be some gore. There's going to be sexy times. And there are going to be major character death. I'm assuming because that's just how Jade Kristoff rolls. I actually know nothing about this book. But I pre-ordered it a while ago. And it is also signed by the author. Because every US edition of this book, Jade Kristoff has personally signed. Like, look at that. I only own like, this is like the second book I think I own that has a signed by the author. So this is important to me. And I'm very tempted to start this book after I finish filming this video, to be honest. Am I in the middle of two or three other books? Yes. Do I care? No. So, yeah.
And that's when it hit me. The best idea I ever had in my entire life. That's the worst idea you ever had in your entire life.
Next is This Is Why We Lie by Gabriella Lepore. No, it's not because of her name. I wanted to read this book. I actually got an ARC on NetGalley, an e-ARC for this book, which I haven't started yet. I'm a little bit behind, quite a lot behind. NetGalley reads. That's a whole nother story. But I will try to read it as soon as possible. But it is sort of a One of Us is Lying type of story. It is a YA murder mystery, bodies showing up in a town, teenagers having secrets. It's kind of the run-of-the-mill Pretty Little Liars type vibe, which I love. I adore. I can read that trope over and over again. To be honest, I just love it. I love secrets and mysteries and all those kinds of things. I'm kind of an open book. I'm not a very secretive person. I'm not good at secrets. Unless it's a gift that I'm planning for someone. I'm not a very secretive person. So I guess I just am missing that secretiveness in my life. So I go search for it in books. Does that make sense? Maybe. But yeah, I'll try to read the ARC very, very soon. Obviously not before the book comes out, because it's kind of too late. But I will read the ARC and I will do a review for you guys, which of course will be on GabysPages.com. So next release I'm very anticipating is actually a book that I also have an ARC for that I haven't read because I'm still behind. It is The Iron Widow by, I hope I'm not messing up this name, but I probably am, so I'm sorry. I've never heard it pronounced, but I think it's Siren J. Zhao, I think. Anyways, the name is written. Or here, I don't know where I'm putting it. But it is sort of, from my understanding, it seems to be sort of a Pacific Rim-y kind of story. Not the aliens from inside the Earth part, which is weird. But it's, I think, people driving robots kind of thing. And the main character wants to drive a robot, and she gets paired up with someone to drive this robot. But for what purpose do they drive robots? I'm not sure. But we love Asian authors, Asian characters, and Asian settings, so there you go. And you will hopefully see a review for that soon, as yeah, I haven't so yeah, stay tuned for that as well. So next is another book that I pre-ordered that hasn't come out yet, but once it comes out, I'll have it. And it is Under the Whispering Door by TJ Klune. If you've been watching this channel for any length of time, you will know that Under the Whispering Door, and not Under the Whispering Door, that's the book that's coming out. Under the Whispering Door is coming out this September, but the book that I read this year is House on the Cerulean Sea, which is like right there. And I loved it very much. Instant lifetime favorite. And Under the Whispering Door is a story of this man who actually dies. Like, the story starts when he's dead. And he gets taken in by the Reaper, and he's like, oh shit, maybe I am dead. But the Reaper, instead of bringing him to the afterlife, brings him to this little fishing town where he meets a fairy man named Hugo. And they're gonna fall in love. I'm already crying. I haven't even started it yet. But yeah, based off my love for House in the Cerulean Sea and how that reading went, Under the Whispering Door is gonna make me feel things. Yeah. And I'm ready to feel things. So there you go. So the next release is Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber. And you might know Stephanie Garber from the best-selling series Caraval. It's Caraval Legendary Finale, I think. But yeah, it's a really popular trilogy. If you spend any length of time with Book Talk, you've heard about it. But basically, this is the start of a new series. I don't know how many books there will be in this series. I'm hoping no more than 3. But I'll be along for the ride. But it is Once Upon a Broken Heart, which is the story of this girl. She is trying to stop the wedding of the man she loves. He's supposed to get married to somebody else. So she makes a deal with the Prince of Hearts. And I feel like he's kind of like a maybe demon / genie kind of thing. And he decides to grant her wish in exchange for 3 kisses. But after the first kiss, she realized it might not be all that, this deal might not be all that it seems. And as the synopsis said, either this will end in the happiest of endings or in the most exquisite of tragedies. Very interested, very excited for it. So yeah, like I'm hoping I can get my hands on it very soon. So next we have Beasts of Prey by Ayana Gray. I've been excited about this book for a long time. It's actually been on my Goodreads since March 6th, so I'm an OG fan. Excited for this book. I believe this is a debut release for this author. But it is a story of 2, I believe they're teenagers, but they decide to team up together and they vow to help get rid of this suspicious sort of creature, monster, animal haunting, well, not haunting, but like, you know, prowling around their village. And that is all I know about it. But I've been excited about it since March. I remember seeing a TikTok from this author. You know, she was trying to get her book more traction. So I remember adding it to my Goodreads from that and interacting with the author at that point. And now, since we're getting closer to the release date, I've heard so many more book influencers and things like that talking about it. And I'm so excited. I'm so happy for her. We love supporting Black authors. We love supporting new authors. And yeah, I'm really excited to get my hands on the story. I kind of wish it wasn't getting released in fall, to be honest. Kind of wish it had been released in the summer, because Beasts of Prey, the cover with the snake and the palm trees and, you know, animals and jungles, you know, you just picture summer. But I will read it nonetheless whenever this comes out. The next book I'm really excited to read is going to be the X Hex by Erin Sterling. I believe that is another pen name for her. I believe her actual name is Rachel Hawkins. She's written many books. She's a best-selling author. But it is a story of this witch. I believe this is a new adult story, if I'm not mistaken. But basically, this witch gets her heart broken, and she decides to put a little friendly curse on her ex, because he's a heartbreaker and a douche. And I mean, Wouldn't we all if we had the powers to? And she thinks, you know, nothing's really bad's gonna happen. He's gonna get a bad hair day or two. But when he comes back to town to work with the coven, bad things start happening to him. So she realizes that maybe it wasn't such a harmless curse after all. And I think it is her trying to fix it. And it's called the X Hex, which I think is great. Nice tongue twister. I'm very excited. Perfect for a little spooky witchy season. The next book coming out is Dark Rise by C.S. Pacat. He is also the author of the graphic novel Fence, or the graphic novel series Fence, which I read the first of earlier this year, which I loved. But Dark Rise is a full-blown YA novel, which I'm really excited about. It is fantasy. This boy is on the run from the man who killed his mother, and on the way he finds out that he's part of this, that his destiny is to fight alongside this ancient group of protectors against the dark side. They protect our world, or their world, from the dark side and the Dark King. And so while he's on the run, he finds this out, and he has to both prepare for a war while on the run from this man. I think it's going to be exhilarating and exciting, and I just love a good YA fantasy, you guys. Next, we have a book that I'm actually currently reading as an arc from the publisher, but it is Paybacks of Witch by Lana Harper. This kind of reminds me of imagine the X Hex, which I just talked about, and the Lost Girls that I just talked about. Make it go together. That's basically what Paybacks of Witch is about. So basically, it is about these 3 witches that are part of this town. Oh my god, what's it called? Something Grove. Anyways, they're in this town, and they realize they've all been with the same guy, and they all hate him. And so they decide to sort of sabotage his chances of becoming the next head of the witches in town. There's sort of this kind of Tri-Wizard tournament thing that happens every generation in this town. And the main character is actually in charge of it. So she and her friends are going to kind of sabotage him. So you have the John Tucker must die aspect of Lost Girls, plus the magic curses to the X's kind of vibe from the X Hex. And so far, it is a great read. So much fun. It is new adult. It's just perfect for the season, honestly. Just perfectly encapsulate just everything I love in books. My favorite age group is new adult. I love some nice urban fantasy. I love, also, Paybacks of Witch is sapphic. So, you know, it's really ticking all the bars, ticking all the squares, ticking everything. Everything is ticked. So, yeah, that is a book that you guys should definitely pick up come October. You guys should, just pre-order it now, actually. Next, we have Vespertine by Margaret Rogerson. And sounds so interesting. I'm really sad. I'm sad and also, not sad, but there was a special edition that came out from Fairy Loot that looked exquisite. Picture included now. But I don't want to buy special editions of books that I haven't read, unless it is the same price as a regular edition. Like Empire of the Vampire, the Chapters Indigo exclusive edition is a different cover with the pictures inside and end pages that are different and blah 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 blah. But it was the same price as the regular version. So of course I'm gonna buy the exclusive edition. But paying $45 for a book that I can buy for $25 that I don't know if I'm gonna like or not, it's I don't know. I don't tempt the gods like that. So but Vespertine is the story of this girl who is preparing to become a Grey Sister, which is basically sort of like a nun in that world. She lives in a convent and everything, but they are sort of magical nuns that help the dead pass on. But when the convent gets attacked by possessed soldiers, she ends up awakening a sort of dark spirit. So she ends up having to fight and figure out why all those soldiers are possessed, but also not letting the dark spirit that she unleashed, wreak havoc. So she's got a lot on her plate. But so excited for this one. Next is Keeper of Night by Kylie Lee Baker. I'm very excited for this one. I actually managed to get my hands on an arc of the audiobook, which is very exciting. And I'm hoping to listen to that once I'm done listening to the current audiobook I'm listening to. But basically, the main character is half British Reaper, half Japanese Shinigami. And so she's sort of a battle with her identity. Reapers don't like her, Shinigami don't like her. It's like a whole thing. And she decides to go back to Japan to serve the goddess of death, but she realizes that there too she has to prove herself to the goddess. I think it's going to be really interesting. I'm really excited to delve more into Japanese mythology. It's going to be a lot of fun. Next is going to be Jade Fire Gold by Jun Ciel Tan. Very excited. Based on Chinese mythology, it is a story of Anne and Atlan. It's supposed to be slow burn romance, fantasy, adventure, YA, just ticking all the boxes. Atlan is heir to the throne, who his sort of legacy was taken from him as a child, who is trying to get back on the throne, and he sees that possibility through Anne. Anne sees the possibility of unlocking more of her magic and understanding her magical abilities through Atlan. So it's them going on this adventure, figuring out magic, figuring out how to take over the throne together. Just very excited. I believe it is a standalone, which I love. I just love standalone so much. Yeah, so excited. Next is Wild Tongues Can't Be Tamed, and this is another anthology short stories, but this is all coming from Latinx authors, which is very exciting. They will all be telling different stories that will explore different aspects of Latinx diaspora life. So I believe some will be set kind of all over the world, but it will explore sexuality and stereotypes and all those kinds of beautiful stories, rich stories. I just love anthology short stories based on a certain type of minority exploring the world. I mean, I have gotten a few like this, like I've gotten more and more into them. First, we went upon an Aid, which is a story of full of Muslim authors, and I also have the book Blackout, which I haven't started yet, but it's about, you know, stories of Black youth in America. Now this one, we also have Black Joy, which I talked about earlier in this video. But yeah, I'm hoping to start like sort of a little minority short story collection maybe. I think there's just so many good stories to tell, and I love the kind of snippets of them in short story anthologies that help me find also new authors that I will become my favorite authors. Next is going to be You've Reached Sam by Dustin Towle. Another Asian author with Asian main character story. This one is, I feel like it's gonna make me cry. Okay. But basically, the main character, Julie feels like she has her whole life figured out. She's about to move out in the city with her boyfriend, and then her boyfriend suddenly dies. Already. Page 1, tears. And she actually ends up skipping his funeral. She's like devastated. And she ends up giving him a call, and she realizes that she can have like one last conversation with him over the phone, with his like sort of ghost or whatever. And it's sort of like how she spends her last moments with him over the phone. This is gonna destroy me. Anyways, so yeah, am I already crying? Maybe. No one's checking, no one's looking. I'm not ready for this. Like, I'm not ready at all. What the fuck? What the fuck? Just no. No, thank you. So guys, thank you so much for watching. That is all I have for you guys today. There's a lot of books coming out this fall that I'm really excited for. And if you haven't heard, if you're not part of like the whole book talk, bookstagram, booktube world, there is going to be a book shortage this holiday season, and starting pretty much like now in September. I'm not stressed about it. You're stressed about it. But I'm just worried, and now I kind of feel tempted to pre-order every single book I mentioned. But I don't think that's a good idea for my poor little wallet. So we won't do it. But I will try to get my hands on these books hopefully in 2022 when the book shortage is like not a problem anymore. But thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you're as excited as I am. And I will do another anticipated releases for the books coming out this winter. So end November, December, January, February, or yeah, around that. Yes, thank you guys so much for for watching. If you watched all the way to the end, thank you. And we're going to put any fall related emojis. So it could be a pumpkin, it could be fall leaves, it could be a coffee or a tea. Up to you. Just anything that makes you feel fall-y, autumn-y. Okay, we're gonna put it down below. But thank you guys so much for watching. As always, all my social media will be linked down below, as well as ways to support this channel, my Ko-fi for donations, my Amazon wish list, and my book outlet referral code. My website, GabysPages.com, will also be linked. So thank you so much for watching. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.